especially to the freshers. I'm very pleased that I have the opportunity to welcome the freshers for the second year running. Last year I talked about the first sermon of the Buddha, that it can be studied from many disciplines, from psychology, from philology, from meditation viewpoint, from neurology. Even some people have started using the Buddhist philosophy to compare with quantum lotus in physics. Now, this year I'd like to welcome you with some thought-provoking, from the teaching of the Buddha, again from the first sermon. Again, when I say the first sermon, I am talking about the Theravada viewpoint. The first sermon, the turning of the wheel. In Mahayana Buddhism, there is a second turning of the wheel. And in the Vajrayana Buddhism, there's a third turning of the wheel as well. So there's three turning. From the Theravada point of view, the turning of the wheel means the realization and the enabling of others to realize the Four Noble Truths. That is the heart of the first sermon. And for today, I'd like to look at this and say how the Four Noble Truths gives us positive thinking, positive outlook in life. The Buddha started with existential reality like pain, disappointment, agitation, and so on, physical and psychological pain that we have to come across as a living being. But the Buddha didn't stop there. He was actually saying these are the realities that we confront on a daily basis, but they can be managed. Indeed, they can be overcome. So if you look at all the Four Noble Truths as a one message, it's a very positive one, very positive message. In some respects, some people are more optimistic, especially for this life. The answer lies next life. You need to wait until next life to solve all these problems. But as far as the Buddha is concerned, no, you can work on them here and now and start connecting with your living being, not just human being. And the way to do that, all sorts of meditation practices, philosophical approaches, psychological methods, embedded in the teaching of the Buddha in the canonical text, not just Theravada, but also Mahayana and all those things. So, my first message is that since we examine some inherent, painful experience on a daily basis, doesn't matter wherever we are, whether you're at SSPU, whether you are at other universities, in other countries, it's not possible to escape from this reality of life. But what the Buddha is saying very positively is that we can make the best of this pain. We can grow out of it. So, the meditation and psychology department will be offering meditation and psychology. So I don't need to talk about that. What I need to talk about today is that as a practitioner, or as a human being at all, what we need to do is to have compassion, karuna, and joyful feeling, mudita. If we cannot practice all the 4 Brahma Vihara practice, we should practice these 2 on a daily basis. I consider these 2 karuna and mudita to be 2 arms of metta. By practicing them, we are practicing metta itself. Of course, metta as a whole is a lot more is more encompassing, psychologically than those 2. But to keep it manageable on daily basis, karuna and mudita, compassion and joyful feeling, they are the 2 that we can do this. I can quote you from scientists. This is from our library. This is The Science of Meditation by Daniel Goleman and Richard Davidson, who examine people's brain using fMRI and EEG. Just after 8 hours of compassion meditation, you change your mindset, you actually increase your resilience. I cannot do better than reading out, 1 or 2 passages from this work, from page 106. Before people had learned this loving kindness method, this metta method, when volunteers saw graphic videos of people suffering, only then negative circuits for emotional empathy activated. The brains reflected the state of the victim's suffering as though it were happening to themselves. This left them feeling upset and emotional echo of distress that transferred from the victim to themselves. Then people were instructed to empathize with the videos. This is metta empathy. To share the emotion of the people they were seeing. Such empathy, fMRI studies reveal, activated circuits centering on parts of the insula. Insula is part of the brain. Circuits that light up when we ourselves are suffering. Empathy meant that people felt the pain of those who were suffering. But when another group instead got instruction in compassion, karuna, feeling love for those suffering. We recited earlier, Mata Yata Niyan Buddha. This is karuna. Their brains activated a completely different set of circuits, those for parental love of a child. Their brain signature was clearly different from those who received instruction in empathy. So compassion is more than empathy. Sympathy is less than empathy. I talked to a PhD student who is almost completing his work at Oxford, a philosopher who works on empathy. The book continued, and this after only 8 hours. and 8 hours. Such positive regard for a victim of suffering means we can confront and deal with the difficulty. This allows us to move along that spectrum from noticing what's going on to the payoff, actually helping them. In many East Asian countries, the name Guanyin, the revered symbol of compassionate awakening, translates as the one who listens and hears the cries of the world in order to come and help. It may be shocking to some of the Theravada monastic that I read out the name of Guanyin here. I want you to be liberal. I want you to, without liberalism, I mentioned last year, there's no university. This is a university as well as a monastic institution, registered as a monastic institution, also as education with the government. When I say to be liberal, I can show you from these research findings. Okay, when people use fMRI to examine the growth of the brain, okay, they examine Theravada Mahasi, they examine Goenkaji, they examine part of, as far as I know, 3 traditions from Myanmar have been examined, and then Zen tradition, and then a few Tibetan traditions, such as Tonglen, which is compassion practice, Dzogchen, which is a different one, Mahamudra, which is quite similar to Vipassana meditation. The results in the positive changes of the brain waves is the same. We ask that we fight for the color outside. We fight for the different names. Okay. We can feel compassion for anyone except for another meditation, another different meditation tradition, except for another Buddhist university, except for another different Buddhist school. So we need to take our medicine first, okay, before we give it to other people. It's encouraging to see that although we almost cannot recognize each other from the outside, but when you use the best of those traditions, we still retain, okay, what the Buddha intended to give us, that is the way to overcome distress and suffering. This is very encouraging. From thousands of scientific papers and research. Those researchers, they don't believe in Mahayana, they don't believe in Theravada, they don't believe in anything. But they come with a good heart, looking for something to relieve the suffering of patient or anyone who is in pain. And that they discover all these treasures that we have in our library. You will be using the libraries, but you should transfer the library into your heart. You will be seeing, okay, this year, as we have consecrated the pagoda, beautiful pagoda, but you should transfer that pagoda into your heart. So wherever you go, you should have that pagoda in your heart. It's called Dhamma Jeti, the pagoda of the Dhamma. So this is about liberalism. In Myanmar, when I was doing my Dhammacharya degree level examination, my teacher in Bago said, okay, he wanted to give us all the translation in India, but he was forbidden by the exam system. He was only using what's called P edition P. That's about 130. In some Dudama Monastery, if you use Mahakandaya Sero's books, you are condemned. In some of the Shuijin monasteries, they only use Shuijin, books written by Shuijin order. I want this place to think bigger and to feel more liberal, so that you respect all those works. Okay, it doesn't matter which monastery, which tradition they come from. And this should be reflected in our library, okay, whether the order comes from the east or the west, it doesn't matter. What we do is we examine what they say critically, and we appreciate them that way. One other approach that, in addition to liberalism here, is about cooperation rather than competition. Okay. I'm very pleased that the government of Myanmar has moved toward this way. The government of Singapore started last year from competition to cooperation. The Ministry of Education in Singapore issued a directive to all the schools not to rank the student in terms of first, second, and third. Myanmar is following the same. If you say first, second, and third, you are encouraging them to compete. Each student will get their own score. Everyone, if you all work hard, you all can have first class. You don't need to compete with other people. So this is the approach that I want, SSB to adopt and follow. Another one is motivation, in connection to this cooperation, but no competition. What about motivation? What should you be doing? Should you be studying for a degree? On paper, this is what is it. But I don't think you should be contented like that. You should be keeping your mindset that way. You should be motivating yourself based on the Four Noble Truth. The Four Noble Truth is about reducing suffering, is about relieving suffering. It's about compassionate attitude. So whenever you go to the library, whenever you're going to do some work, when you're going to read, think about other people who don't have this opportunity. Read for them. Keep this knowledge for them. Here in Myanmar, also in other countries, other parts of the world. Think of them. Think of people who are suffering. If you do that, a different part of your brain will be working. It's not the cortisol hormone, it's not the stress producing. Okay. If you are stressed out, remember you need to change your hormone in your brain. To do that, you need to change your motivation, the way you look at your work. SSB is not here to compete with anyone, but to complement with anyone before us, and to help bring up anyone who comes after us. So this compassion is the cause for happiness. I want to quote one scientist from London School of Economics, Professor Richard Layard, on competition. This is from the book Happiness, okay? Again, this is from our library. Page 173. He says in his research, quoted in this book, We have more food, more clothes, more cars, more cars, bigger houses. We have 2 more accommodations this year, the Dharma Hall and also the teachers, the 4-story accommodation. So this applies to us as well. More central heating, more foreign holidays, a shorter working week. I don't know about this year. And nice work, and above all, better health. Yet we are not happier. If we want people to be happier, we really have to know what conditions generate happiness and how to cultivate them. So this book goes on to say, one of the main sources of people's discontents come from comparing themselves with others in their family, at their workplace, and among their acquaintances. As Professor Richard Layard explained, I quote, there are many cases where people became objectively better off, but felt subjectively worse. Objectively better off, but felt subjectively worse. One is East Germany, where the living standards of those employed so after 1990, but their level of happiness fell. With the reunification of Germany, the East Germans began to compare themselves with the West Germans, rather than with the other countries of the former Soviet bloc. Comparing, by going into comparing, we call this implied mana, is one of very deeply rooted defilements. You end up with a superiority complex or inferiority complex. You just alternate them. So we need to take this, we need to replace this with compassion. With compassion, you will be more optimistic in life. You'll be more positive. Again, I quote this book. This is Full Catastrophic Living by Professor John Kabat-Zinn from MIT, who studied using mindfulness meditation in medical context and developed MBSR. I'd like to read out a few passages from page 244. Some people tend to be pessimistic in the ways they explain the causes of a bad event to themselves. These patterns involve blaming themselves for the bad things that happen to them, thinking that the effects of whatever happened will last a long time. And will affect many different aspects of their life. When we work on anicca, the reality of change or impermanence, is very useful whenever we have a bad time, that this is anicca. It will change. Dr. Seligman refers to this attitudinal style. Dr. Seligman is the one who develops positive psychology recently. As is technically called as I call is my fault, is going to last forever, is going to affect everything I do pattern. Okay. The word forever comes to our mind. In the extreme, this pattern reflects a person who is severely depressed, hopeless, and inordinately self-preoccupied. Those people, they just become full of themselves. Some people call this mode of thinking catastrophizing. An example of this style might be the reaction. I quote, I always knew I was stupid, and this proves it. I can never do anything right. When you experience a failure of some kind. An optimist experiencing the same event would see it quite differently. People who are optimists tend not to blame themselves for bad events, or if they do, they see them more as a momentary occurrences that will get resolved. They tend to see bad events as limited in time and in how pervasive the damage they cause will be. In other words, they focus on the specific consequences of what happened and do not make sweeping global statements and projections that blow the event out of proportion. An example of this type might be, I quote, "Well, I really blew it that time, but I will figure out something and make some judgment, and next time it will fly." Dr. Seligman and his colleagues have shown that people who have a highly pessimistic attributional style are at significantly higher risk of becoming depressed when they encounter a bad event than people who have an optimistic way of thinking. Pessimists are also more likely than optimists to come down with physical symptoms and show hormonal and immune system changes characteristic of increased susceptibility to disease following a bad event. Now, this is to say, to strengthen the message I started with, that the quality that the Four Noble Truths offer, the Noble Eightfold Path, the Middle Path offer, is all very positive. I want all the staff and the students to be positive to the environment. Take care of the plastics, take care of the rubbish. In every monastery, okay, we look after ourselves. We look after ourselves. There's no such clear distinction as in secular institution. This person is a cleaner, this person is a rector, this person is a dean, this person is a cook, There's no such clear distinction. Yeah. So, in the monastery, the training is, we do everything. Lady Xiaorong, who has written more than 100 books, whenever his student went out for alms in the morning, he would clean their toilets. Every day. Every day. We have to have this compassion and service-minded. Service-minded. Whatever we can, we have to help. This is a community. Today, with this positive comment, from the Four Noble Truths, I welcome all of you to SSBU, and I wish you all the best with your study. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much, Rector Xiaorong, for your very enlightening speech, encouraging us to live in positive and to study at SFBU based on the vision of the SFBU, which is based on cooperation, complement, and compassion. Also, to be positive of everything in our environment. Thank you very much, Rector Xiaorong. And the next program is a welcome speech by the Chief Incumbent Xiaorong, Venerable Wijayapipala. Please, Venerable Sir.
Good morning, everyone. So welcome to SSBU. So, what I would just like to say is have been mentioned by our Venerable Rectors. So we are so fortunate to get started again another SSBU academic year. So yes, this is the second year we have been approaching right now. There is Chinese proverbs that say the best time to plant A tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. SSBU takes this value and validity without waiting until everything is completely sufficient. So the present moment in our hands is the right moment for us, for the journey of wisdom. As we all know, wisdom is the key to ultimate freedom in the noble path. If compared with others, SSBU is still young and has both its advantages and disadvantages, like others as well. Bearing with this gap to fulfill in mind, we start from a very simple step and move further distance. There won't be sufficient facility here and even enough staff members yet right now. However, we try our best to work with each other, caring with each other as a family members. As being a Buddhist university, we have to be relying on people's generosity for all requisites here. Therefore, we should be patient to accept that is available for us, and on the other hand, understand situation which is unavailable according to Buddhist philosophy. Unsatisfactoriness should be fully understood. So please enjoy with what is available for you here at SSBU and be patient with some unavailable things. So we hope everyone enjoy and succeed in each and individual goal of study at SSBU. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Venerable Vichita, for delivering us and encouraging us to do our best within the availability of the resources here. Thank you very much. And the next program is welcome speech, also welcome speech to be delivered by our Dean of Academic Affairs, Dr. P. Phyo. Please.
Thank you, Venerable. May I pay respect to Brother and our Sangha as well. And welcome everyone, all students and also freshers as well. One thing that what I would like to say is last year, those who were here may remember that last year I talked about unity in diversity. So as you can see, we are very diverse, in terms of our makeup, in terms of academic staff, administrative staff, as well as students here. Okay, so this rule still applies this year as well as other years to come. So we mustn't forget that. And these days we talk about diversities, how we should embrace diversity and so on. Yes, we have to embrace the diverse skills, diverse backgrounds and so forth. But with diversity, like I said last year, there are also challenges. Challenges comes in many ways, okay? For your academic studies, as well as your life at SSBU, your life in Myanmar, and so forth. But once we can keep that in mind, together we can move forward. That's one thing that I would like to say. Another point that I would like to make this year is, I would like to draw on the the last volume, the last book of the Abhidhamma Pitaka, which is the Patthana. Okay? Patthana essentially talks about conditions. There are many, many conditions for not just for our life, for all the lokas, the 3 lokas that we have. So for those we have many conditions, limitless conditions. Okay, conditions don't actually kind of come about just out of nowhere. We also have to work hard to reach to optimal conditions so that we can achieve our best. Okay, so but with that requirement, what we also need to do is we also need to work hard, so which is viriya or effort. Okay, we also need to be patient as well, because it takes time to reach to optimal conditions. As you can see from the current status of SSBU, we are very new, we are still building, so that means that it will take time to get there, but I'm sure we will get there. Okay, and so time and effort, but also for those who are familiar with the Burmese concept about karma, jnana, so gan, jnana, viriya. Viriya is effort. So karma, viriya, and jnana. Okay. So jnana, these 3 also works in kind of in a harmonious way as well. So once we can actually start acquiring skills, necessary conditions, we can actually achieve much better and to achieve our bigger aim, which is that, as I get, dean of academic affairs, what I would like to emphasize also here is academic excellence. So the quality, the academic rigor as well. So with that kind of message, I would like to welcome all of you here for this coming academic year, and I hope you will enjoy this year and you will be well prepared to work very hard, because it will require a lot of effort as well. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our Dean of Academic Affairs, for delivering and also encouraging us to embrace diversity here, and also to work hard, to be patient, and also to advance our academic quality. Thank you very much.